Hypothalamus have paracrine functions. It also have endocrine functions. It also have autonomic functions. It also have limbic functions, and it also helps with pineal gland in circadian rhythms. Right? This hypothalamus is very, very important. Although it is about 4 grams in weight. It is 4 grams in weight. Before we really go into the secretions or the functions of hypothalamus and endocrine system or the endocrine functions of hypothalamus, first we will know about the anatomy and physiology, also the exact location of hypothalamus, where the hypothalamus is in brain. Right? Our brain have how many parts? 3. Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. The forebrain is divided into 2 parts further. The cerebrum, the telencephalon and diencephalon. Actually, this hypothalamus is situated in diencephalon. Right? For example, we have, first of all, the exact location of hypothalamus. Where actually the hypothalamus is situated in our body or in brain. Actually in brain. Right? This hypothalamus is present in diencephalon. Do you know about thalamus, subthalamus, hypothalamus and epithalamus? Can you differentiate between these 4 things? Anyone? Have you heard about the epithalamus and subthalamus? Right. Diencephalon. First of all, we have, for example, this is simply brain. And this part is called the forebrain. This is midbrain. Right? In this forebrain, we have 2 parts. One is outer cortex, and the second one is deep parts, in which the limbic system, the fornix system, the corpus callosum, these things are present deeply, and they collectively called diencephalon. For example, if we have cut this brain cross-sectionally, right, we will see 2 areas. One is this outer cortical area, which is called the cerebral cortex, which is composed of gray matter, and the gray matter is actually the cell bodies of neurons, and the axons are extending from these cell bodies. Right? This part is called diencephalon, and the outer, for example, I am making this diagram from front. If I want to make this diagram from front, we will see that, for example, this is cerebrum, the 2 lobes, right? And here we will see the midbrain, and here we have brain stem or hind brain, the pons and medulla, and on each side we will see the cerebellar hemispheres. These are cerebral hemispheres, and this is cerebellar hemispheres. Right? Actually, this is the cortex or the cerebral cortex area. Cerebral cortex area. Listen this with a deep focus. Right? Hypothalamus is very important. A lot of diseases are related with this or correlate with this hypothalamus, because all the glands are controlled by or maintained by pituitary gland, but this pituitary gland is controlled by hypothalamus. If we got some injuries in our hypothalamus, our pituitary gland will directly affect, and it will affect all the body functions, A to Z, from head to toe. All the functions will be abnormal. If hypothalamus is damaged or injured, or it gets some tumors, right? For example, here these parts are called the diencephalon. Actually, this hypothalamus is present here, right? If we cut this brain cross-sectionally from side, we will see the medial side of brain. The medial side of brain. And in medial side, we will see the connection between the two lobes of cerebrum, right? For example, this is cerebrum. From top, superior view of cerebrum. This is one left hemisphere of cerebrum or right hemisphere of cerebrum and left hemisphere of cerebrum. These two cerebral hemispheres are interconnected. This structure is called corpus callosum, right? When we cut the brain like this, we will see the corpus callosum like this, right? Which is the connection between the right and left hemisphere of brain, right? Here, above this midbrain, a sheet of gray matter is present, which is called subthalamus. On subthalamus, the thalamus is situated. In between the thalamus, the right and left thalamus, the third ventricle is present. I have already discussed this, right? And in front of this thalamus, we have hypothalamus. How we can define this hypothalamus? This is the structure which is present anterior and inferior to thalamus. The structure, the sheet of gray matter which is present anterior and inferior to thalamus, right? We will see here that how it is present anteriorly and inferiorly to thalamus, right? This is the corpus callosum, right? For example, from side we are seeing this is subthalamus. I haven't talked about these ventricles. We will see that also. But this is subthalamus. On subthalamus we have thalamus. Because we are seeing the brain from one side, we will see only one thalami, right? But thalami are actually two, the right thalami and left, right? In front of this, here, for example, I have eyes. This is eyeball, right? From eye, we are getting the eye optic fibers or optic nerves. For example, this nerve is coming from another eye. Here, these two, they are connected and forming a structure which is called chiasma. You must remember this chiasma, because when we will take the cross sectional of hypothalamus, we will see the suprachiasmatic nucleis, the suprachiasmatic areas, supraoptic areas, preoptic areas, right? This is this area is called chiasma, right? From here, these tracts, the optic tracts, are moving backward to occipital lobe. We will discuss that in optic tract, right? But here, this structure is important, which is called chiasma. For example, if I am taking these two eyes here, right? This is one optic nerve. Optic nerve is cranial nerve number 2, optic nerve, right? From here also the optic nerve is coming. Here they both are forming a structure, combined structure, which is called chiasma, and from here it is dividing, right? This structure is called chiasma. Any confusion? The area in front of hypothalamus where the two optic tracts are combining or joining each other, the structure forming is called chiasma, right? This chiasma is present just in front of hypothalamus, right? Now we will see the exact location of hypothalamus. The structure se show. These are the parts of brain which are related to hypothalamus, right? Now we will remove these cerebral areas and only will see the hypothalamus, right? For example, I am taking the cross section of the brain. Right, this is mid brain. From here, this and cerebellum, we have fourth ventricle. From here the aqueduct is moving upward like this, right? Here we have two thalamus, but we are seeing only one thalamus from side. Have you heard about thalamus? Thalamus is very important part of brain, which is also called the relay center of brain, which control all the incoming and outgoing signals of brain. It is a controlling center. All the signals, all the sensory signals and all the motor signals, impulses must pass from thalamus. And if thalamus is damaged, we called it coma. Have you heard about coma, in which the patient can get responses but can't respond you? Coma का condition देखा ना, पदे कि patient sta response sta चेकम impulse ते आगा गस्ती दे खबरी कई दे माता दावी कोताला वापस response नहीं दर को. This is called coma, and coma is due to the damage thalamus, right? So this is thalamus, and for example, this is that chiasma. This is chiasma, right? Here this aqueduct is moving, and here we will see the third ventricle. This is the third ventricle, the fluid-filled ventricle from cerebrospinal fluids, right? Here in front of this thalamus we are removing this third ventricle. Here we have a sheet of gray matter having two swellings primarily like this, and this is the stalk, and from stalk we have a gland which is called pituitary gland, right? So now we can define hypothalamus as this is the anterior and inferior parts of thalamus, or it is present anteriorly and inferiorly to thalamus, right? This is the first definition. We will see now the from top, and we will see that this thalamus is present on either sides of third ventricle, and from that we will get the definition that the hypothalamus is the sheet of gray matter which is present on lateral walls and the floor of third ventricle, right? Or we can simply define it, this is the sheet of gray matter which is present anteriorly and inferiorly to thalamus, right? Remember that this is the part of hypothalamus. This is also the part of hypothalamus, but these are not the parts of hypothalamus. They are in direct connection, right? This is called hypothalamus. This thing is called, this is called the tuber cinereum. I will draw this in hypothalamus, but here you will remember that this tuber cinereum is the part of hypothalamus, and this stalk, I am shading this in blue. This is called the pituitary stalk. This pituitary stalk is not the part of hypothalamus. And last we will get two lobes gland, which is called pituitary gland, right? So we can define this hypothalamus as this is the sheet of gray matter present anteriorly and inferiorly to thalamus. Right? This is the first definition which we can get from here. Right? Now we will remove these all areas, and we will take only the midbrain, the thalamus and the hypothalamus in relation with third ventricle. Right? For example, if someone is standing here, it may be anyone having beautiful eyes, right? And here we have the brain. Clear your concept, right? This is the fourth ventricle and this is the third ventricle, and we have pons, medulla, cerebellum, right? And this person is seeing to this brain from back side, right? He will able to see this fourth ventricle when we remove this cerebellum, right? It's mean that the fourth ventricle is embedded in cerebellum. The central parts of the cerebellums are fourth ventricle, right? And now he is able to only see the posterior borders of this fourth ventricle, right? For example, this person is now enters to this fourth ventricle, and now he is seeing upward, right? For example, now here he will see the third ventricle, right? And in third ventricle, when he is moving in this aqueduct and until reached here, right? Now this is his posterior side and this is anterior side. On anterior side he will see the hypothalamus on either side of this third ventricle, right? If he is moving in this third ventricle, anteriorly he will find the hypothalamus and posteriorly he will find the pineal gland, right? I mean that pineal gland is present posteriorly to third ventricle. Pineal gland is very important. Pineal gland is responsible for forming the dark hormone, which is called melatonin, right? Also, it makes the 5-hydroxytryptophan, 5-HT, 5-HT1, 5-HT2. Also, it is responsible for making the cholecystic kinase enzymes, right? So, posteriorly from third ventricle, he will find pineal gland, and anteriorly he will be find anteriorly and laterally he will find hypothalamus. And this is the location of hypothalamus. Now here We are taking only the mid brain. For example, here. This is the mid brain, pons and medulla oblongata. This is the mid brain from top. On either sides, we will see thalamus. The greens are thalamus. We will discuss these thalamus also in nervous system structurally, right? But here it is only the location wise. These are two thalamus, the right and left, which are present above the mid brain. Thalamus are present just after mid brain, right? And mid brain are getting the signals from sensory signals from spinal cord, from all other body. It also takes cerebellar fibers from cerebellum, and it also taking the fibers from pons, pontine fibers, and they are making pontine tracts. Also they are getting the impulses or the fibers from ears, from eyes, right? And passing that fibers from here, the thalamus. So thalamus is present just after the mid brain, right? Here in front of here, the third ventricle is present. This is the third ventricle. Third ventricle. In between the two thalamus, the third ventricle is present. If you get the question in your paper that there are how many ventricles in brain, there are how many ventricles in heart? Two, the right ventricle and left ventricle. In brain there are four ventricles: the right lateral ventricle, left lateral ventricle, the third ventricle, and fourth ventricle. So this is the third ventricle, which is present in between the thalamus, and this is the fourth ventricle, which is present in cerebellum, right? So here in front, we have defined that these are the sheet of gray matter present anteriorly and inferiorly to thalamus. So this is the anterior side of thalamus. This is the anterior, and this is the inferior side of thalamus, right? So we can define this by one way in relation with thalamus, that hypothalamus are the sheets of gray matter which is present anteriorly and inferiorly to thalamus. The second definition, for example, I am making this in 3D. For example, this is the front wall of hypothalamus, right? And here this is one lateral, and this is the other lateral side of thalamus. This ventricle is, for example, this is the ventricle, third ventricle, right? So hypothalamus is the sheet of gray matter which is forming the lateral walls and the floor of third ventricle, right? The second definition is the hypothalamus is sheet of gray matter which is present on lateral sides of lateral walls of third ventricle and also on floor of third ventricle, right? If I want to make this diagram very simple and short, for example, this is the third ventricle, right? And this is the mid brain. This is mid brain. These are, this is one thalami and this is another thalami. This red structure is hypothalamus. This red structure is hypothalamus, which is present anteriorly, inferiorly to thalamus, and also making the lateral walls and floor of third ventricle. Right? A simple location of hypothalamus. Right? Now we will discuss the hypothalamus. Actually, what is hypothalamus is, what is the function of hypothalamus, or what are the nuclei is present in thalamus. First of all, you will tell me what is nuclei and brain. What's mean by nuclei and brain? I have discussed this in cell. Nuclei is a brain. We have two things, the white matter and gray matter. We have tracts, we have commissures, we have fibers, and also we have nuclei. All the functions are controlled from nuclei of brain. The nuclei is the collection of cell bodies in white matter. When some cell bodies are accommodate or collect in white matter of brain, this is called nuclei. For example, this is brain. Simply, this is brain. These are the cell bodies, which is called the cortex, cerebral cortex, and these are the, for example, axons, which is forming the white matter. When some cell bodies collects and make a structure like this in this white matter, it will called the nuclei of brain. And a brain have a lot of nuclei, and they are controlling different functions in brain. In hypothalamus there are more than 8 or more than 10 nuclei, right? Because we will discuss the hormones also, which are secreted by hypothalamus, and we will also discuss the control of this hypothalamus, that how this hypothalamus controls the pituitary gland, right? So now we will dive into hypothalamus. This is the location of hypothalamus. It is present in diencephalon, right? It is the part of limbic system, and it have mainly three functions are performed by this hypothalamus. What are that functions? Now you will learn. First point about hypothalamus, that it is the part of diencephalon, right? And also this is the structure present in limbic system of brain. And actually about the cerebellum, if you want to remember the cerebellum in short words, you will remember 3 points, right? And like that, this hypothalamus is also you can remember easily by remembering 3 points, right? For example, this is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. If someone asks about hypothalamus and you forget all the things about hypothalamus, what is hypothalamus? You must remember these 3 points, right? That it have a role in emotions: sadness, happiness, angerness, hungerness, thirstness, right? So it have limbic activity. What is the role of limbic system? All the emotions are controlled by limbic system. So it have limbic activities. This is the first function of hypothalamus, mean that it have a role in emotions, crying, laughing, right? All these are controlled from, even when you eat some spicy things and after that you are saying that very nice, this is also controlled by hypothalamus, right? The second thing, it have a role in autonomic nervous activities or system, in a system, because it will control the sympathetic as well as parasympathetic activities. So sympathetic activities, also parasympathetic activities are controlled from hypothalamus. So this is the autonomic function of hypothalamus. One is limbic system or limbic activities. The second is autonomic nervous system. The third is endocrine functions. Third point is endocrine functions. Because we are studying endocrinology, so we will focus on this endocrine activities, but somewhat we will discuss these activities also, but mainly we will focus on endocrine functions of hypothalamus. Like for example, it secretes endocrine hormones, right? So these are the 3 points about hypothalamus you well must remember: the limbic activities, the emotions, control of emotions, the autonomic nervous activities, sympathetic, and for example, if someone is suddenly hypoglycemic. Hypoglycemic mean that a person have low blood sugar level, right? For example, 40, 50, 60, right? Suddenly, when he is in hypoglycemic state, the sweating start from his body, right? He feel cool. The heart rate is become high, right? And he will eventually he will fall down, right? These activities are controlled from hypothalamus, which is autonomic nervous activities, the sympathetic activities, right? Also the parasympathetic activities, like for example, after some eating, when you are hungry and you will eat some food and now you are feeling full, and the sympathetic activities are again restored into parasympathetic. This whole activities is present in hypothalamus, right? The next thing is endocrine functions. Endocrine functions, for example, are the physiotropic hormones. Also, some of the inhibitory hormones are also secreted by this hypothalamus. For example, oxytocin is released by oxytocin nuclei is present in hypothalamus. ADH, antidiuretic hormones, the gonadotropic releasing factors, the growth hormone releasing factors, the prolactin releasing factors, right? Corticotropic hormones releasing factors. All these are secreted from hypothalamus. So this is the endocrine activity of hypothalamus, right? How they are controlled and how they are functioning, the endocrine, autonomic, we will discuss this just in a few seconds, right? But these are the points which are very dominant about this hypothalamus, right? Now we will divide this hypothalamus in parts, because we will some discussion about the anatomy of hypothalamus. This is also the anatomy, the location that where the hypothalamus is actually present. It is present in front of thalamus, in front of thalamus, right? And also it is present on the either sides of third ventricle. This is the location of, or simply it is present in the diencephalon, right? Or more simple, that this is the part of limbic system of brain, right? Now we will divide this hypothalamus in two parts, right? Because if I am taking this midbrain again, this midbrain, this is midbrain. Remember this one part of midbrain, this thing is called interpeduncular fossa. This is the interpeduncular fossa, because these are one peduncle, this is in other peduncle, and this is in between these peduncles. So this is called interpeduncular fossa. You can write it interpeduncular fossa, right? In front of this we have the third ventricle. We will define this hypothalamus further also, that this is the structure which is start from the chiasma and end with the interpeduncular fossa. This is the posterior side of hypothalamus, and the chiasma is the anterior side of hypothalamus, right? Here, for example, we have the thalamus. Now you will know these thalamus. This is the thalamus, right? Here we have the hypothalamus, right? This is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is large as your nail of the small finger, right? This is the size of this hypothalamus is, and the weight of this hypothalamus is only 4 grams. But this is very important part of brain which controls the pituitary gland, and pituitary gland is called the master gland, because what is the second name of pituitary gland? Anyone? No, master, no. This is called master gland. This is master gland. What is the second name of pituitary gland? Anyone intelligent? I will give 2 marks extra in this med exam to him or her. What is the second name of what is the second name of pituitary gland? It is also known as the hypophysis gland. It is called the hypophysis, right? Why it is called hypophysis? Because it is present inferiorly to this hypothalamus, so it is called hypophysis, right? And all the pathways which are passing from this tuber cynerium are called hypophyseal pathways. For example, the tubero-hypophyseal tract, right? The preoptic hypophyseal tract, right? All these are called hypophysis tracts, right? So this is the hypothalamus, right? Now we will divide, because you can see here that this is the right side of hypothalamus and this is the left side of hypothalamus. So we can define this we can divide this hypothalamus. For example, hypothalamus is divided into the right hypothalamus and left hypothalamus, right? Further we will divide also this furtherly, that the right side is composed of the medial and lateral, and the left side is also composed of medial and lateral, and they have different nuclei. The lateral side have different nuclei and the medial side have different nuclei, and this is very interesting structure in our brain. You will see its interest points now. Hypothalamus is divided into right half of hypothalamus, right? And other is left half of hypothalamus, right? So if someone asks from you that what are the parts of hypothalamus, hypothalamus is divided into two main parts. One is right half of hypothalamus, which is present on the right side of third ventricle, and the second is the left half of hypothalamus, which is present on left side of third ventricle, because this is third ventricle. Now this is, for example, this is third ventricle, and this is the right side of third ventricle, and this is the left side of third ventricle. This is right half of hypothalamus, and this is left half of hypothalamus, right? This is in relation with third ventricle, right? Further, these right half and left half are further divided into medial and lateral, but some tracts are entering. We will go now a little bit deep into this brain, right? And we will see the fornix system of brain. What is the fornix system? You all have studied this brain in your FSC courses. What is limbic system? Limbic system is the system which controls the emotions of body. What is fornix system? Anyone? Subinulum nuclei. Do you heard subinulum in brain? Right. I am trying to explain this also. For example, now we will take only the hypothalamus. We will not take the other structures, because you already know now about the structures anterior, posterior, inferior hypothalamus, right? So we will take this hypothalamus, for example here. This is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, right? And from hypothalamus we have one swelling here, which is called the tuber cinereum. This swelling is called the tuber cinereum, which is the part of hypothalamus, right? And we have one another swelling here, which is called mammillary body, not papillary body. Papillary bodies are present in heart, right? This is called mammillary body, right? This is mammillary body, mammillary swelling. On either side, here also we have a mammillary body, right? Now we have some traits entering in this hypothalamus. We have thalami here. These are the thalami. From here we have a sheet of white matter. A sheet of white matter is moving backward, upward, forward, downward, and eventually backward, and enter into this right half of hypothalamus. This nuclei is called subinulum nuclei. Subinulum nuclei, and this system is called the right, at entering the right side of hypothalamus. So this is called the right fornix system. Right fornix system, also it is called fibers. Right fornix fibers. What are the other fornices of body? Where are they present? Because like ventricles are also present in heart, and ventricles are also present in brain. Here the fornix is present in brain. Also the fornix is present in female reproductive system, right? The other subinular nuclei here. and it is entering into the left side of hypothalamus, right? Here at entering into the substance of thalamus is a tract. Here substance of thalamus, these are fibers, actually these are neurons, and from here it will get connected into this thalamus, right? Here it will connect with these mammillary bodies, and from mammillary bodies like this, right? So this is called the left fornix system. Now I hope you will know this fornix system. This is a system which is present in relation with hypothalamus, the fornix system. It have a lot of other functions. You forget about that functions, but this is the fornix system, right? Why this is important here? Because due to these fibers, the hypothalamus can be divided into the lateral and medial parts. The point where these fibers are entering into this hypothalamus is the center part of hypothalamus, right? From these fibers, this area is lateral and this area is medial. Here this area is medial and this area is lateral, and they have different nuclei. What are these fibers? These fibers are called fornix fibers, and these fibers are called, for your information, these fibers are called the mammillothalamic tract. Our brain is rich of tracts, commissures, right? This is the mammillothalamic tract, which is the fibers between the mammillary bodies and thalamus. I have already told you that all the structures are directly or indirectly will attach with this thalamus, because this is relay center, right? So from here we can divide now these left half of hypothalamus and right half of hypothalamus into the right lateral hypothalamus, the right medial hypothalamus, the left lateral hypothalamus, and left medial hypothalamus, right? So for example, I am now removing these fibers from here for easiness, like this, right? These are the right fornix fibers and these are the left fornix fibers, and they are entering into hypothalamus by its center point. So this area, I am shading this area in blue. This area is the right lateral hypothalamus, right? Here I am shading this area in green. This green area is called the right medial hypothalamus, right? This is the right lateral hypothalamus and right medial hypothalamus. Remember, we are talking about hypothalamus, right? And now we have covered the location of hypothalamus, and now we are dividing this hypothalamus into parts, right? First we have divided this hypothalamus into right and left halves. Now we are dividing these right and left halves into two parts, right? This is the right lateral right lateral hypothalamus, this is the right medial hypothalamus, and same like here, this is this green area is the left medial hypothalamus, and this area is This is the left lateral hypothalamus, right? And remember that this is also the part of the hypothalamus, which is called the tuber cinereum, and the swelling present here is called the median swelling. It is called median swelling. Right? This is very, very important, because the tubero fibers, the tubero tracts, or the tubero anterior pituitary gland tracts are passing from here. All the blood supply is passing from this here, and all the secretions from the nuclei, like arcade nuclei, which have a lot of secretions in the hypothalamus, which is very important nuclei of the hypothalamus. All the secretions are first releasing here, and from here it will get into the blood and will supply to the anterior or posterior pituitary gland, right? So this is very important part of hypothalamus, right? This is called the mammillary swelling or mammillary body. What is the role of mammillary body? Anyone? Feeding. The feelings after eating. Like, for example, if you eat unpleasant things, right, and you will make the mouth, this is not good. This is controlled by mammillary body. And if you eat some delicious food and you feel happy now, this is also controlled from mammillary body, right? Because this is solely dependent upon B1, vitamin B1, right? And B1, I have already told you that B1 have a lot of role in metabolism, right? We will discuss that in detail later. But this is hypothalamus, this is the right lateral half, this is the right lateral hypothalamus, right medial hypothalamus, left medial hypothalamus, and left lateral hypothalamus. Now this is easy. We will go now for secretions, the tracts and nuclei of this hypothalamus, right? Borshi bekhune. Adesha bhai 10 minute break ko kela. What are the secretions of hypothalamus? I have told you yesterday that hypothalamus released physiotrophic hormones. All the physiotropic hormones are secreted by hypothalamus. Secretions of hypothalamus, right? All the physiotropic hormones, physiotropic hormones. What are physiotropic hormones? All those hormones which are used for the releasing of other hormones. These are the factors, releasing factors. Like, for example, growth hormone releasing hormone, or growth hormone releasing factor, gonadotrophin releasing factor, thyroid stimulating hormone releasing factor. All these releasing factors are secreted by hypothalamus. We have divided this hypothalamus into two hypothalamus, right? Why you are talking? Hypothalamus is divided into two. The right half of hypothalamus and left half of hypothalamus. This right is divided into right lateral hypothalamus, the right medial hypothalamus. This left side is also divided into the left lateral hypothalamus and left medial hypothalamus, right? Now, first of all, we will talk about the tracts which are passing from the lateral side, which are called the four brain medial fibers, or the four brain medial tracts, right? For that, we must know the epithalamus. What is epithalamus? The pineal gland, habenular nuclei, habenular commissure, collectively they are called the epithalamus. What is subthalamus? Subthalamus is a sheet of gray matter by which the thalami are placed or situated. The subthalamus is present just after this midbrain. On midbrain, the thalami are present. Thalami are, for example, this is the midbrain. On midbrain, this is subthalamus. On subthalamus, here is the thalamus, right? These are three structures. Midbrain, on midbrain the subthalamus is present, on subthalamus the thalamus is present, right? Like that, for example, here I have this is pons, this is medulla, this is spinal cord. Here I have midbrain. Generally this is midbrain, right? On midbrain, here sheets are present, right and left. This is subthalamic sheet, right? This is subthalamus. This green is subthalamus. On subthalamus, we have two thalami. For example, this is one thalami and this is other thalamus, right? This is called the thalamus. Differentiate these parts, right? Here, for example, we have pineal gland. On either side of pineal gland, a special nuclei are present. For example, here this is one nuclei and this is other nuclei. This is called pineal body or pineal gland, right? The star nucleus is called habenular nuclei, whereas sabenular nuclei, the nuclei present in the fornix system is called sabenular. We have just discussed this sabenular nuclei, right? This is habenular nuclei, and these habenular nuclei are interconnected by these fibers, and these fibers are called habenular commissure. Habenular commissure, right? Habenular commissure. This structure, habenular commissure, pineal body, and two habenular nuclei, collectively this structure is called the epithalamus, right? This is called epithalamus, and in front of this we know that we have hypothalamus. This is hypothalamus, and here we have tuber cinereum and we have pituitary gland, right? This is now which fibers are passing from this hypothalamus? First, the fornix fibers, the right fornix system and left fornix system. Second, the mammillothalamic tracts or mammillothalamic fibers are passing from this hypothalamus, right? And the third one, the fronto-orbital fibers are entering into hypothalamus. Also the septal fibers are also entering into the hypothalamus, and collectively they are forming the fiber tract which are running on lateral side of this hypothalamus, and it's called the forebrain medial tract, right? For example, I have this hypothalamus. This is hypothalamus, right? This red area is lateral, left lateral hypothalamus. This red area, right? This green area is left medial hypothalamus. This is right lateral hypothalamus, and this is right medial hypothalamus. Now from here the forebrain is present. Forebrain, the frontal lobe is present. From frontal lobe the fibers are coming here, and these fibers are called the these are the fibers, for example, and these fibers are coming from frontal lobe of brain. Frontal lobe. So these fibers are called the fronto orbital fibers. These fibers are called fronto-orbital fibers. Fronto-orbital because it is entering into the free orbital area of this hypothalamus. We will talk about in just few seconds, right? So these fibers are entering into the lateral side of this hypothalamus, and these fibers are called the fronto-orbital fibers, right? And from septal area, so what is the septal area? Here the frontal wall of hypothalamus, believe this is the frontal, this is the anterior wall of the hypothalamus. The areas present here, this is the septal area of brain. From septal area the fibers are coming, joining these fronto-orbital and entering into this lateral side of hypothalamus, right? Here these fibers are passing from, for example, here is the left side of the frontal lobe, and this is the septal area. This is right side, this is left, this is left, and the fibers are coming and passing from this lateral side, right? These are called the fronto-orbital fibers. These fibers are called the septal fibers or septo-orbital fibers, right? And collectively these fibers are called the forebrain medial fibers. Forebrain medial fibers. If someone asks about this forebrain medial fibers, you will now know, it is must, that these are the fibers which are coming from the fronto-orbital area and from septal area of the brain and entering into the lateral sides of hypothalamus. They are called forebrain medial fibers, and eventually they are joining the midbrain, the pons, cerebellum and spinal cord, right? These are the tracts which are coming from body, right, for different functions to frontal, because we have motor cortexes and sensory cortexes in the frontal lobe, right? Now this is the one relation in lateral lobe. Now we will cut this hypothalamus and we'll see. This is now very easy. For example, we will divide this here, the lateral side of the hypothalamus, or we will remove this and we'll take the lateral on one side and medial on another side, and combinedly we will study that how they control the pituitary gland, right? Can I remove? No, sir. Khadara hisab kitab hi kana lam sara secretions of hypothalamus. Now we will divide this hypothalamus. We will take that this board is hypothalamus. Full board is hypothalamus, and we will divide it into the lateral and medial sides, right? For easiness, I am dividing this board in two parts. Here we will discuss the lateral hypothalamus. Lateral hypothalamus, right? And here we will discuss the medial forget about that right and left, because both the side have same nuclei, right? The secretions are same but on opposite sides, right? The right side secretions and left side have left side secretion, both are same. We will take generally this lateral side and medial side. This is medial hypothalamus, right? Generally hypothalamus have how many parts? Two, the right and left. The right part is also divided into medial and lateral, and the left side is also divided into medial and lateral, right? And lateral hypothalamus, first of all learn these names, right? We will discuss after studying this lateral hypothalamus. We will be able to know about the pre-optic nuclei. First, pre-optic nuclei, right? The second thing, the dimorphic nuclei, right? And the third thing is the lateral hypothalamic nuclei, right? These three nucleuses are present on lateral side of hypothalamus, right? For example, I am taking this hypothalamus again, but only hypothalamus, right? For example, this is third ventricle, right? Here generally this is the full hypothalamus. I will cut this now, we will cut this, but first we will divide this here and we will divide this here. For example, these fibers, now tell what are these fibers coming to hypothalamus? These are the left fornix fibers and these are the right fornix fibers. What fibers are leaving this hypothalamus? The mammillothalamic fibers. These are fornix fibers, which divides the hypothalamus into left and medial and lateral. And these fibers are, because they are entering into the thalamus, so they are called the mammillothalamic fibers, right? Now we will cut this hypothalamus from here, right? For example, I am cutting this hypothalamus from here. Now we will see this third ventricle, and after third ventricle we will see again the medial hypothalamus. So we will cut also this third ventricle. Now we are seeing the medial side of hypothalamus. Now we will remove this medial side also. Right now we are seeing the lateral side from medial side. The lateral side from medial side mean that we have cut this medial side, and now we are seeing the, for example, if I remove this window and I am seeing that wall, right, like that, I have removed the first lateral part, the medial, the third ventricle, and the medial part of the hypothalamus, and now I am directly into this lateral side of hypothalamus, right? For example, just we enlarge this area. This is the lateral side, right? Here we have thalamus, right? And this is the cut where we are seeing the pituitary anterior lobe. This is the anterior lobe, and this is the posterior lobe. This is the stalk of pituitary gland, and this is the tuber. This is the tuber cinereum, and here we are seeing this. For example, this is the mammillary swelling, right? Mammillary swelling. We have some special blood supplies here. For example, this is the blood supply, right? But this is general blood supply. It is not actually like this, right? Now we have generally three nuclei are present in lateral side: the preoptic nuclei, the dimorphic nuclei, and the lateral hypothalamic nuclei, because the chiasma is present where? The chiasma is present here. This is the optic nerve, this is also the optic nerve, and this is the chiasma. This is chiasma. Now I hope you will know this chiasma. Who is chiasma? Chiasma is the combination of the optic nerve in the front of hypothalamus. Now you can define this hypothalamus that this is the part, or this is the structure present in between the chiasma and the midbrain. This is the sheet of gray matter which is present in between the chiasma and midbrain, because here we have midbrain, right? Now the first nuclei is present here, and we can draw this nuclei. For example, this is the nucleus, right? And this nucleus is called preoptic nuclei. Why it is called preoptic nuclei? Because it is in preoptic area. We will discuss in medial side of hypothalamus, right? This is called the preoptic nuclei. Preoptic nuclei. We will discuss the secretions with these nuclei, right? What is the function of, what is the role of this nuclei? Now listen, this nuclei is responsible for formation of gonadotropic releasing factor or hormone, gonadotrophin releasing hormones. For example, this is responsible for formation of a chemical, and these chemicals are gonadotrophic releasing factors, right? It is adding this secretion into this blood. right? This is the endocrine activity because it's secreting a gonadotrophic releasing factor and giving it to blood plasma, and now it will goes into this anterior pituitary gland, right? Here special cells are present in this anterior pituitary gland, right? Now by the response of these gonadotrophin releasing factor, it will form the sex hormones, the FSH, the follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormones in females, right? For example, by releasing of these gonadotrophic releasing factors, these cells are activated and it release FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and it release luteinizing hormones, right? These FSH and LH are responsible for affecting the ovaries, and from ovaries it will release estrogen and progesterone, which are responsible. This FSH is responsible for the maturation of this follicle, the formation of follicle in ovaries, and luteinizing hormone is responsible for releasing that follicle, right? So these are the hormones. From ovaries it will release the estrogens and progesterone, right? What happens in males? Anyone? Is these FSH and LH are absent in males?
No, sir.
Why? This is very recent research, right? That these FSH and LH are also releasing in males, but they will affect testes, not ovaries, right? Because male have no ovaries, right? So in males it will affect is FSH and LH. It will affect testes and it was responsible for the production of testosterones, which are male sex hormones, right? So this is the function of the pre-optic nuclei, that it secretes gonadotrophic releasing factor, which controls the anterior pituitary gland for releasing follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormone. Any confusion? No. Now other nuclei is present here. This is very crazy nuclei. Right, and this nuclei is called the sexually dimorphic nuclei. Sexually dimorphic nuclei, right? We have told in start that this hypothalamus is responsible for limbic system, limbic functions, also for autonomic functions, and also for endocrine function, right? So this sexually dimorphic nuclei is responsible for homosexuality. Who is homosexual? Right? No one. What is homosexual? When same sex like same sex, right? For example, males likes males and females like females. This is called homosexuality, homosexual functions, and this is the role of this sexual dimorphic nuclei, which is present in hypothalamus. This hypothalamus is very sexy, right? Because it determines that who will liked by me, right? If I am male and I am now, the people who are homosexual, they have the development of this nuclei different from that of normal peoples, right? The development of these nuclei are different in that persons, right? So the sexually dimorphic nuclei is responsible for homosexuality, right? The next thing, the cha break show zai shabe na the cha break kya kazai ha break pata so koy opera ha ha सही ده او زه به دا ټاپک ختموم ها صحیح ده دا ضروری دی که پاتې شو یا پاتې the next nuclei which is present in this lateral hypothalamus is present here, and this is very sad. Nuclei, right? This is very
Thank you, Sajid.
This is the lateral hypothalamic nuclei. Lateral hypothalamic nuclei. What is the role of this nuclei? He is also angry, right? This is that nuclei which is responsible for hunger and anger, right? Also for thirsty, right? So when the peoples are hungry, they are angry also, right? For example, the males are very wise, are very clever, that when they decide to propose a female, first he gives some food to her, right? When she is full of stomach, this nuclei is opt, this is inhibited, and now she is not angry anymore, right? This is the best way, right? This is the best way. So this is the lateral hypothalamic nuclei, which is responsible for three things. It is responsible for 3 or 4. The first, white, this nuclei is responsible for 3 things: for anger, for hunger, for sadness. No, it is for thirstness. Anger, hunger, sadness, thirstness. For example, if you are hungry, this nuclei is activated. When you are thirsty, this nuclei is activated. When you are angry, this nuclei is activated. When you are sad, this nuclei is activated, right? And when you eat food, when you feed, your anger, your sadness is gone for some time, right? Because this nuclei is now inhibited, right? So when you eat food, this nuclei will deactivated or inhibited, and now you will feel happy, no more sadness, because you are now full of stomach, right? You are feeded, huh? How can I told karda ke this is the point. When you are sad, you will eat more, because in sadness this nuclei is activated, and when this nuclei is activated, you will feel hungry and you will eat more food. But at that time when you are hungry, you will also angry. This is the quote, I think, that hungry people are angry people, hungry peoples are angry peoples, and angry peoples are hungry peoples. This is because of this nuclei, this lateral hypothalamic nuclei. When this is activated, when this nuclei is activated, you will eat more food, you will get angry, you will be thirsty, and when you this is the nuclei which give us the awareness for searching food, for searching water, right? Because when this nuclei is activated, you will feel thirsty, and now you will search water for yourself, right? For example, if someone get thirsty and this nuclei, for example, this is not present, now who will tell him or her to drink water? No one, right? And this is one disease we will discuss this, which is also related with antidiuretic hormone, which is called diabetic insipidus. Diabetic insipidus, right? We will discuss. Also, we will discuss in this the galactorrhea amnoria syndrome, right? Some of the important diseases which are related with this hypothalamus, we will discuss that in clinical correlations, right? Because when you are not knowing about the disease, you are not a doctor, and when you are not knowing about the disease, you will not diagnose that, and when you are not diagnosed, you will not treat that disease, right? So we will discuss the diseases also collaterally, right? So this nuclei is responsible for anger, hunger, sadness, thirstness, and that's why we call the hypothalamus that all the feelings of body are controlled by hypothalamus, and there is one nuclei which is lateral hypothalamic nuclei is responsible for these things. The next nuclei we will discuss in medial side, but here it is important that the opposite nuclei of this nucleus, which give us relaxation, which gives us full stomach, which gives us happiness, and which gives us which damage this thirstiness, is called the ventromedial nuclei, which is present in this medial side here. This nuclei is very happy, right? And this is called the ventromedial nuclei. It is activated in happiness, when you are full stomach, when you are relaxed, and when you have no thirstiness, right? And this is the nuclei which gives us the awareness that how much food will we eat, right? When you are eating, it's not necessary that you will eat the whole, for example, rice, right? When this nuclei is activated, you will stop eating and you will feel full, right? There are some pathways between these two nuclei, the inhibitory pathways. This nuclei inhibit this nuclei, and this nuclei inhibit this nuclei, and further the scientists realized that the pathways are controlled by dopamine. They are dopamines, right? These are dopaminergic pathways, right? So this lateral hypothalamic nuclei is present in the lateral side of hypothalamus and is necessary for the hungerness, angerness, sadness, and thirstiness, right? And this nuclei is present in the medial side, which is called the ventromedial nuclei. We will discuss its medial side, and it is responsible for the happiness, full stomach, relaxation, and when you are no more thirsty. It gives us the awareness for searching food and water, right? And this nuclei gives us the awareness that how much water you will drink, how much food you will eat, right? So this is the lateral side of hypothalamus, and these are the secretions. Go Rekha. We will discuss the medial side after a break or on next day, right? Any question? پښتو په انګلیش دواړه پوه شوې کنه؟ زه شکر دی.